Narration begins. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far from the chaos of war, there was a small human base on a planet called Nova 6. It was green, peaceful, and untouched by fire or blood. But the war was coming close. Humanity was fighting for survival against powerful alien empires. And young soldiers were sent to the front lines, including Commander Jace Morrow, just 22 years old. Jace had seen too much war. He had lost friends, hope, and maybe even himself. He didn't smile much anymore. But everything changed the day. He met her. It was supposed to be a simple patrol mission in the forests of Nova 6. But Jace's ship was hit. He crashed deep in the jungle, alone, injured, no signal. No help. He was sure he would die there. But then, she came. She was just a girl, 13 years old. Wild hair, bright eyes, holding a strange glowing weapon that no human had ever seen. She pointed it at him, but didn't shoot. Instead, she looked into his eyes and said, in soft, broken English, "You're human. You're not like them." She helped him up, fed him strange fruits, treated his wounds with alien medicine. She moved fast, like she knew the forest better than the wind. Her name was Lyra. She said her people once lived on Nova 6, but they were hunted by other alien tribes. She had been hiding, learning, surviving alone for years. Jace stayed with her for 4 days. They talked, laughed, even played. For the first time in years, Jace felt human again. She was just a child, but wise beyond her age. She didn't talk like other kids. She had seen too much too. On the 5th day, Jace got a signal. Rescue was coming. He looked at her and said, "I'll come back. I promise." But Lyra just smiled, shook her head, and said something he would never forget. "No, I'll come to you. When I'm 19, I'll find you, and I'll marry you." Jace laughed like any adult would, but her eyes were serious. "I'm not joking," she said. "I'll grow strong. I'll become someone you can fight beside. You'll see." And just like that, she disappeared into the trees. 6 years passed. The war grew worse. Planets fell. Millions died. Jace became a captain, then commander. He never saw Lyra again. Maybe she had died. Maybe she was just a dream. But he never forgot her. Not her face. Not her words. Then, one normal day at a space station near Earth, an alarm rang. A strange ship had arrived. Not enemy. Not human. Either. It was old, silent, and glowing with blue lights. Its design was alien, but it carried the human flag. Soldiers pointed their guns. Security teams rushed to the bay. The ship doors opened slowly, and out walked a young woman. Tall, confident, wearing alien armor. Eyes glowing slightly blue. She looked at the guards calmly and said, "I'm here to see Commander Jace Morrow. He knew me when I was 13. The guards stared, confused. The woman smiled faintly. "Tell him." Lyra kept her promise. Narration, ending of Part 1. Jace froze when he heard the name. He stood at the observation deck, watching the girl from his memories, now a warrior, a mystery. She had returned, not as a child, but as something more. A promise made in a jungle 6 years ago was about to change the fate of the galaxy. The girl who changed. Narration begins. The doors opened. The room was silent. She stepped in tall, sharp-eyed, dressed in armor made of alien metal. It shimmered faintly with blue light. Soldiers stared. Officers whispered. No one dared stop her, but she walked with calm steps, like she didn't need permission. She wasn't just a visitor. She was a storm, waiting to break. Commander Jace Morrow stood frozen, his breath caught in his throat. The woman stopped in front of him. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She simply said, "You said I'd forget." "I didn't." His voice was low. "Lyra?" She nodded. 6 years. I found you, like I said I would. Jace stared. This wasn't the little girl he met on Nova 6. That girl had wild hair and 2 big shoes. This woman stood like a soldier, moved like a hunter. There was something dangerous in her silence, but her eyes, they were still the same. Flashback begins. Cut into the present story. In the years after she left Nova 6, Lyra had not gone home because she had no home. Instead, she went into alien space, into worlds where humans were feared, hunted, hated. She didn't care. She had made a promise. She trained with warriors, fought in battles, stole forbidden tech. She learned languages, studied minds, broke codes. And each time she got stronger, she remembered his face. She kept one photo of him damaged, burned, but enough. She wasn't just growing up. She was becoming something powerful, something no human had ever seen before. Back to Presentius finally spoke. How did you get that ship? That armor? She looked around the room. Stolen. Earned. Survived. A bit of everything. I thought. You were dead, Jay said quietly. Lyra tilted her head. So did many others. Her tone was sharp, but her eyes softened. She stepped closer. You laughed when I promised, she said. Do you still think I was just a child? He looked at her, unsure what to say. This wasn't just a reunion. This was a warning. I didn't only come back for you, she continued. I came to tell you something important. Something your commanders don't want to hear. Jace frowned. What do you mean? Lyra looked over her shoulder. The officers were watching. She leaned in close and whispered, They're planning something. The enemy, a new kind of war, one that Earth won't survive. She pulled a device from her pocket, small, glowing, alien-made. She placed it on the table. A hologram appeared, showing a giant black structure in space. It looked like a city, or a weapon. Jace's heart skipped. What is that? Lyra's voice dropped. It's called the Silence. It's not a ship. It's not a station. It's the beginning of the end. As the room darkened around the glowing hologram, Lyra explained, The aliens are not fighting for land or power anymore. They want to erase memory, culture, identity. They want to wipe out not just humans, but the idea of humanity. This thing, the Silence, can erase all signals, data, thoughts. It's how they plan to end us quietly. No bombs, no blood. Just emptiness. Jace looked at her, stunned. How do you know all this? Lyra raised her hand. Her skin glowed with blue lines. Her eyes flickered like electricity. Because I touched it. I went inside it, and I barely made it out. Suddenly, the door burst open. Security teams rushed in. Guns raised. Step away from the commander. An officer shouted. Lyra didn't move. You're already too late, she said. Jace stepped between her and the soldiers. She's not the enemy. The officer glared. Then what is she? Lyra looked at them all and said, I'm what you left behind. And I'm the only one who can stop what's coming. Narration ending. She came back because of a promise. But she stayed because of something much bigger. She had changed. And soon, the whole galaxy would too. Because the girl Jace once knew. She was now the key to humanity's survival. Alien Secrets opening line, hook. She learned to survive by becoming the thing they feared most, human. Narration begins. Long before she returned, long before she wore alien armor or carried weapons powered by stars, Lyra was just a lost girl in a burning galaxy. After saying goodbye to Jace on Nova 6, she didn't go home. She didn't have a home. Instead, she walked into space ruled by enemies. Places where humans were hated, called parasites, disease, mistake. And yet, she went there willingly. Why? Because a child had made a promise, and that promise became her mission. The first planet she reached was Kalveth, a jungle moon controlled by the Cernari, an insect-like alien race. They found her half-starved, bleeding, unconscious near one of their outposts. They should have killed her, but something strange happened. She spoke to them in their language, not perfectly, but enough that the leader, an old female called Vorith, decided to keep the human girl alive, not out of kindness, but curiosity. Why would a human child cross into our lands alone? To become more than human, Lyra answered. They laughed, but they did not kill her. Years passed. Lyra trained with the Cernari warriors. She learned to move with silence, like shadow. She learned to kill with claws, knives, and words, but she didn't stop there. She listened. She listened when they spoke of the silence, a weapon so powerful it erased entire species from memory. She listened when they spoke of a secret alliance, a group of alien races coming together, not to win the war but to end it forever by erasing humanity completely. One of the Cernari generals whispered late one night, "They say the silence won't destroy your planet. It will erase your sky, your history. It will make Earth forget it ever existed." Lyra stole data, maps, languages. She hid it in her skin, her blood, her mind. But when they found out, they hunted her. She ran. Again, on Velos 9, she lived among the Trinari, creatures made of light and sound. They didn't speak with mouths. They spoke through memories. It almost broke her. But Lyra stayed. She watched them build a fragment of the silence. It looked like a mirror floating in space. But when she looked into it, she saw nothing. Not her reflection, not stars. Not her thoughts. Just emptiness. She touched it once, and something touched her back. It left a mark. That mark still glows. Under her skin, she doesn't know what it means. Not fully, but since then, she remembers things no one told her. She sees battles before they happen. And sometimes, she hears voices. Back in the present, on the human space station, Lyra finishes showing Jace the hologram. He stares at the floating image of the silence, cold black, eternal. "No one in the command knows about this," he says. "They do," Lyra replies. Jace turns sharply. "What? They know. Your leaders, your high command. They made a deal." "What kind of deal?" "A slow death, quiet, hidden. They agreed to let Earth fade instead of burn." Jace clenches his fists. "That can't be true." Lyra places a hand on his. "Do you trust me?" He doesn't answer, but he doesn't pull away either. Suddenly, the lights flicker. A warning alarm beeps in the hallway. A voice over the intercom. "Unknown energy surge detected near Dock 7. Jace and Lyra both look up. She mutters, "They found me." Narration ending. She came to warn them, to protect them, to keep her promise, but the truth she carries, it's dangerous. So dangerous. Someone would rather see her dead than let it spread, because Lyra doesn't just know alien secrets. She is one now. The betrayal opening line, hook. The first time he saw her, she saved his life. Now they were pointing guns at her, and he couldn't do anything. Narration begins. The hallway smelled like metal and fear. Flashing red lights lit the Fado de Nina. Space station walls. Sirens echoed. Soldiers in full armor surrounded Lyra, shouting commands, guns aimed at her chest. And Commander Jace Morrow? He stood between them, motionless, shocked, confused. He had brought her here. He had trusted her. Now, she was the enemy. Officer in charge, Colonel Vex, stepped forward. "Drop the alien tech. Raise your hands. You are under arrest for trespassing, espionage, and illegal communication with hostile species." Lyra didn't move. Her voice was calm. "I told you what's coming. And this is your answer?" The soldiers tightened their grips. "Drop the weapon," Vex growled. but Jay stepped forward. Wait, she's telling the truth. The colonel turned his cold eyes to Jace. Step aside, Commander. This is no longer your operation. Lyra looked at Jace, not afraid, but disappointed. He said nothing. He couldn't, because deep inside, a voice whispered, what if they're right? What if she's been turned? And that's how betrayal begins, not with hate, but with doubt. They dragged her away in chains made of neutron metal strong, enough to hold even the most dangerous alien. She didn't fight. She just looked back at Jace and said softly, I came back for you, not for this. Later that night, Jace sat in the dark, replaying her words in his head. The hologram she had shown him, the scars, the stories. The silence. It all felt too real. Too dangerous to ignore. But the official report said otherwise. Alien spy. Using a human face to spread fear. Mission unknown. Execute or extract. Jace slammed his fist into the table. He had seen many lies during the war. But this one? This was too clean. Too easy. He broke protocol. Snuck into the security room. And what he found changed everything. Lyra wasn't being questioned. She was being studied. Machines scanned her mind. Probes lit up her skin. Her body glowed faintly with that same strange energy, the silence mark. She looked half conscious, half broken. Jace whispered, what are they doing to you? A voice behind him said, what we must. It was Colonel Vex. You brought her. Here, Vex said coldly. You opened the door. She trusted me, Jace replied. No, she tricked you. And now we know how deep the infection runs. Infection? Jace stepped closer. She's not sick, she's warning us. She's changing, Commander, Vex said. That thing on her skin, it's spreading. Her DNA isn't fully human anymore. So what? Jace said. She's still Lyra. No, Vex said darkly. She's a threat, and tomorrow she'll be gone. That night, secret meeting. Jace found her cell. She was chained, weak, but not broken. She looked up at him with tired eyes. I didn't expect you to come. I shouldn't have waited this long, he whispered. You still think I'm lying? He shook his head. No, but they do. She leaned closer. Then help me escape. He hesitated. This is treason, he said. No, Lyra replied. This is survival. Narration, rising tension. She could feel the voices again deep. In her bones like echoes in space. The silence was moving. Not just a weapon anymore, but something alive. And it was getting closer. She didn't have much time, and neither did humanity. Final scene. The escape. The security lights went out for exactly 22 seconds. Enough time for a door to slide open. Enough time for two shadows to run down a forgotten tunnel. As the alarm screamed again, one message repeated across the system. Subject Lyra 6 has escaped. Containment. Narration ending. He once thought he would die in the war. Now he was a traitor. Running with a girl who was no longer just a girl, but maybe not entirely human. And for the first time, he didn't care, because the galaxy had betrayed them both. And now it was their turn. The war begins. Opening line, hook. Before the galaxy burned, there was silence, not the weapon. The feeling. The last quiet breath before everything changed. Narration. Begins. A quiet field on an abandoned moon. Cold wind, gray soil. Two people sat on a hill, watching distant stars blink above them. One of those stars was Earth. The girl, no longer a girl, held a broken piece of her old life in her hands. A small photo of a young soldier folded at the corners. Lyra whispered, You kept fighting all those years. Why? Jace looked at the sky. I didn't know how to stop. They had escaped the space station. Barely. Now they were hiding in the outskirts of dead space, where broken satellites drifted, and long-forgotten ships slept in silence. Lyra was recovering. The mark under her skin still glowed, brighter now. The voices she heard, louder. Time was running out. Suddenly, a sound echoed through their stolen ship, a transmission. Static. Then a voice to all human command stations. The silence has activated. They're coming. Lyra stood slowly. Her face was pale. It's happening. Jace looked at her. How bad? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked to the window and pointed at a star blinking too fast. That's not a star, she said. Jace zoomed in. What he saw chilled his blood. A massive black object round like a planet, but wrong. No lights. No heat. Just absence. It was the silence. It was real. And it was here. Cut to Earth orbit. Human fleet command panic. Admirals shouting. Screens flashing red. 100 ships scrambled into position. Missiles loading. Shields rising. But no one knew what they were fighting. Because the silence didn't shoot lasers. It didn't send drones. It just floated closer. And systems began to go dark. To Lyra and Jace. We can't fight this the old way, Lyra said. Guns won't work. Shields won't help. Then what do we do? Jace asked. We go in. In? You mean inside that thing? She nodded. I've been there once. I can get in again, but I need you. Why me? Lyra turned to him, her voice quiet. Because even now, I still trust you more than anyone. Moments later, armoring up, Lyra wears her hybrid armor, part alien tech, part stolen military suit. She inserts a glowing shard into her chest. Plate. JACE equips his old battle gear. No medals. No rank, just a man with a gun and something to fight for again. They board a small stealth ship and head straight for the growing shadow. Cut to inside. The silences range Earth. Satellites begin to fail. Entire fleets lose contact. Pilots scream as their systems crash mid-flight. It's not war. It's erasure. Narration tense and rising. The silence didn't kill quickly. It made you forget what living felt like. It turned names into dust, erased history. And once it reached Earth, it would be like humanity never existed at all. Inside the stealth ship, nearing the enemy. Lyra suddenly gasps, her hands shaking. What's wrong? Jace asks. I feel them. The other minds. The ones already taken. Taken how? They're not dead, but they're not themselves anymore. The silence rewrites them. Jace grips the controls tighter. We stop it. We end this. They enter the silence. Everything turns black. Not dark. Black like the universe blinked. The ship shakes. The lights flicker. Then, silence. No sound. No alarms. No heartbeat. Only Lyra's voice in Jace's ear. Do not let go of me. No matter what you see. Inside the core, the interior is unreal. Like a dream built from shattered memories. They walk past fragments of worlds, frozen in glass. Images of Earth, cities, people glitching like broken files. Suddenly, they see a version of Jace himself, standing still. Hollow eyes, repeating one sentence, you left her, you left her, you left her. Lyra grabs his arm. It's not real, it's fear. Keep moving. They reach the core, a floating orb of white fire. Pulsing with power. Lyra pulls out the stolen device, her last secret. This is our chance. I overload this. We destroy the core. But you said that would kill you. She looks at him. Eyes shining, steady. I said I promised to come back. I never said I'd stay. Final lines, cliffhanger. Jace steps forward. No, we finish this together. Lyra smiles and presses the device. The core begins to scream. Everything goes white. Narration. Ending. And just like that, the war began, not with a battle cry, but with a promise kept. One last mission opening line, hook. There was no sound. No fire, no screams. Just white light and a question. Did they win? Or did they die trying? Narration begins. Jace opened his eyes. Slowly. Everything was bright, too bright. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing against his skin. He couldn't hear anything, not even his own breath. He tried to move, but pain shot through his chest. And then he remembered Lyra, the device. The explosion. He sat up, heart racing. Lyra? No answer. The core chamber was gone. The structure of the silence had shattered. Its control center lay in pieces, melting into nothing. But she wasn't there. He was alone. Flashback. Few minutes earlier, Lyra stood at the heart of the machine, holding the device glowing in her palm. I've tuned it to their signal. When it goes off, it'll send a feedback wave through the entire construct. Jace frowned. And then what? Her voice was calm. Then this thing dies, and I probably do too. He stepped closer. Not happening. She smiled just slightly. If I die saving Earth, that's a good ending for me. You promised to marry me, Jace said. You don't get to run from that. She laughed quietly. You're still stubborn, he kissed her forehead. Do it. But I'm not letting you go alone. Back to present. Alarms began to ring inside Jace's helmet. The remains of the silence were collapsing, folding in on themselves, pulling everything into a black void. Time was running out. If he didn't leave now, he wouldn't leave at all. But he didn't move, because Lyra wasn't there. Then a light flickered behind him. He turned. She was standing in the doorway, covered in dust, half her armor gone. But alive. Barely. Double quotes. Did it work? She asked, her voice weak. Jace ran to her and caught her before she fell. It worked. She smiled. I knew it would. Narration, rising emotion. But victory has a price, and this one was far from over. Escape. Sequence begins. Their ship was still docked, but systems were failing. Hull breaches. Reactor damage. No autopilot. JACE began starting manual controls. Sparks. Flew. Can we fly? Lyra asked, coughing. Barely, he said. But I'll get us out. You always say that, because I always do. Cut to outside. The silence fully collapsing. The alien construct bends inward, pulled into itself. Like a dying star, energy waves burst in all directions. Ships nearby spin out of control. Earth's fleet watches from a distance, unsure whether to celebrate or mourn. Inside the ship, last conversation. Jace flies through the wreckage, piloting by hand, focused, bleeding. Lyra lies in the co-pilot seat, her eyes fading. She whispers, "Tell me something real, Jace." Like what? What happens after this, if we live? He looks at her. Then says softly, "We find a quiet planet. No war, no weapons, just a home. And you marry me like you said you would." Lyra smiles, with her eyes closed. "Even if I'm part alien now?" He replies, "Especially because of that." Final escape. The ship bursts through the last wall of collapsing gravity. A final escape. The ship, blinding flash behind them, then silence. Real silence. They're clear. Alive. Cut to Earth orbit. Human command. The alien signal goes dead. The silence is gone. Every screen lights up. Unknown threat. Terminated. A voice in the command room says, "Who did this?" A tech responds, "Commander Morrow." And someone else. No record of her in the system. The Admiral leans forward. Then remember her now. She just saved our world. Final scene. A field on a distant planet later. A small house. Flowers. Wind. Peace. JACE stands outside, fixing a comms antenna. Lyra walks out barefoot, wrapped in a shawl. Glowing faintly in the sunlight, she's smiling. He turns to her. "Thought you were resting," she says. "I've rested enough. Time to live." He walks over, takes her hand. Still planning to marry me? She nods. You waited 6 years. And I'd wait 6 more, he says, narration ending. Galaxy didn't end. It just changed. Because once, a 13-year-old girl made a promise. And 6 years later, she kept it. Not just to him, but to all of us. The promise kept opening line, hook. They still tell the story. Not just on Earth, but on 100 worlds where humans now live. The story of the girl who came back and the soldier who waited. Narration. Begins storytelling voice. It always begins the same way. She was just a girl when she made the promise. 13 years old, wild and fearless. And he was a soldier, lost, tired, ready to die. She saved him once, and then left with a promise. I'll come back when I'm 19, and I'll marry you. No one believed her. No one thought she'd survive, but she did. And when she came back, she wasn't a little girl anymore. She was something more. Cut to present. Peaceful planet. Years later, a small village under 2 suns. Wind rustles tall red grass. Children laugh in the fields. Drones hum in the distance, harvesting crops. This isn't Earth, but it feels like home. Inside a quiet home, an older man, gray at the edges but strong, pours tea for a group of young cadets sitting in a circle. This is Jace Morrow. He's retired now, but his eyes still carry the fire of old wars and old love. Tell us the real story, a cadet says. Not the one from the history vids. The real one. Jace smiles. He turns to the door, where a woman leans, watching with quiet amusement. Her presence fills the room. She moves like a whisper, with a glow under her skin that no one can quite explain. This is Lyra. She walks in and sits beside Jace. And so, he begins. Flashback, narrated by Jace. She came back during the darkest days. Humanity was losing. One by one, the stars were going out. And then she arrived with alien armor, strange eyes, and the truth no one wanted to hear. She warned us about the silence. A weapon that didn't kill with fire, but with forgetfulness. A machine that made whole planets disappear from memory. She wasn't just brave. She was the only one who understood what was coming. The cadets listen. Wide-I.1 asks, Were you scared? Jace nods slowly. Terrified, but not of the war. I was scared I'd lose her again. Lyra speaks, rarely, softly. I wasn't strong because I trained with aliens or learned to fight in space. I was strong because I remembered. I remembered who I was, who he was, and what we promised each other. Montage. What happened after the war? The silence was gone. Earth was saved. Lyra and Jace refused medals, didn't return to the army. They vanished to a small world on the edge of mapped space. Some say they wanted peace. Some say they were still afraid of what might come next. But most believe they simply wanted a quiet life. Closing scene, a wedding, years ago, simple. No army. No governments. Just friends, trees, wind. She wore no white dress, just a simple suit, her mark glowing faintly beneath the skin. He wore no uniform, only a jacket with her name stitched inside. They exchanged no rings, just a sentence. I kept my promise, and I'll keep mine. Narration, final lines, spoken like a legend. They say the galaxy changed after that. Humans began to explore further. New worlds. New peace treaties. New respect. Because now, aliens didn't just fear humans. They remembered her, the one who crossed the stars for a promise, and the man who waited until she came home. Final shot, an old photo in a frame, Lyra at 13, smiling awkwardly. Jace beside her, wounded, laughing. And written underneath, in faded ink, she promised. And she kept it.